If you read the tabloids that Meghan and Harry like to feed, you know, the ones like People magazine, well, you can understand exactly how that recent visit to Highgrove was an utter success. Brilliance of, the king couldn't wait to just jump through hoops and all of that sort of stuff.
What if I told you that the most powerful invitation in the British monarchy isn't a privilege, it's a prison? King Charles has reportedly extended a summer invitation to Balmoral for Harry and Meghan. But here's the twist. This invitation comes with conditions so tight that even the most ambitious diplomat would struggle to navigate them. And Meghan Markle? She's stuck between a rock and a hard place. She can't claim work commitments. She can't pretend she's too busy because the brutal reality, nobody's booking her. So what happens when the world's most calculated royal player is handed an invitation she never truly wanted? Let's break this down. If you've been following the Sussex saga through the tabloids, they carefully curate the ones that paint every move as a masterstroke. You'd probably believe that the recent Highgrove visit was nothing short of a royal triumph. The narrative being pushed is simple. King Charles was overjoyed, the doors were thrown open, and tears of reunion were shed. A beautiful picture, isn't it? Except reality tells a very different story. Now, let's be fair about King Charles. Whatever your opinion of him, and believe me, opinions are wildly divided, you have to understand the man's fundamental dilemma. He's attempting to be everything to everyone. He visits mosques, he embraces every community, he tries to project this image of a modern, inclusive monarch. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The majority don't want a monarch who's everything. They want a monarch who's one thing. Consistent, traditional, predictable. Think about it this way. If you're a pop star, your audience doesn't want you suddenly releasing indie folk albums. They want pop records. That's what they signed up for. King Charles seems to believe he's still operating in some golden era where he could reshape public perception at will. He can't. And sooner or later, someone will remind him of that. But back to this so-called glorious Highgrove visit. It was supposed to be this beautiful moment of reconciliation, happiness, tears, healing. And look, I'll say this, I do feel some sympathy for the Markle family. On one hand, how do you compete with this level of power, this level of global fame? It becomes glaringly obvious why Meghan has zero interest in reconnecting with her own family. Think about it. What have her father, her half-siblings, what have they actually done compared to what Harry and Meghan have done to King Charles, the Princess of Wales, and Prince William? Nothing even remotely close. But we all know the real reason that bridge remains burned. Her family doesn't hold the key to the magic door. And Meghan Markle has always known exactly which doors to knock on. She's gone after what she wanted with ruthless precision, and to this point, she's been remarkably successful. But here's where things get fascinating. There's a line that one of the most celebrated icons of the 20th century, Marilyn Monroe, supposedly said, and it's haunted me ever since I first heard it because of how perfectly it applies here. She said, "Gravity catches up with us all." Now think about that in the context of Meghan Markle. One of the things she undeniably possessed was striking beauty. She was a pretty girl, and that opened doors, we all know that. But here's the thing about beauty as a strategy. It has an expiration date. You can't play the charming, demure, here's my husband and I character forever. It doesn't sustain. When you reach a certain age, as literally every sex symbol who has ever lived will tell you, that door that beauty opened starts to close. And what's on the other side? That's the moment of reckoning. That's when you discover exactly where you actually stand, without the armor of youth and appearance. And the real problem? The Sussex camp is apparently hoping to replicate their earlier success. At least 3 major projects or initiatives are being planned around this strategy. But can you replicate magic that was built on foundations that no longer exist? Let me take you back for a moment. Cast your mind back to when Harry and Meghan first left the royal family, before the Oprah interview, before the Spotify deal, before all the documentaries, the interviews, the endless revelations. They were incredibly popular. Genuinely, the public was fascinated by them. They were seen as the fresh blood of the monarchy, the new superstars. And we've all seen those photographs of Meghan on the balcony alongside the Queen, subtly maneuvering closer, positioning herself in the frame. The woman is relentless. She simply does not stop. And that's exactly why, if I were King Charles, I'd be drawing a firm line under this entire chapter. But behind the scenes, Charles is doing something far more calculated. Here's what I can share with you. Right now, there's a story circulating about the annual summer invitation to Balmoral. Will they go? Won't they? It's become this yearly drama. For context, Balmoral is the royal family's summer estate in Scotland, the Queen's absolute favorite place on earth, though I've often wondered if the royals ever secretly wanted to go somewhere else. Can you imagine? Scotland again, darling? It's beautiful, but perhaps a week somewhere with fewer midges might be tempting, but I digress. The real story here is this. There is always an invitation. That's not breaking news. That's not some exclusive revelation. The invitation exists every year, but here's what makes this year different. King Charles will reportedly stipulate, once again, that this will be a strictly finite visit. And when I say finite, I'm not talking about a weekend retreat. I'm talking about a carefully plotted, time-restricted stay with very specific conditions. And here's the most critical condition of all. They must bring the children. That's the deal. No dropping off Harry alone. No Meghan arriving solo for a photo opportunity. The children must be present. And this is where the trap springs shut. Because here's what we know about Meghan Markle and Balmoral. She cannot stand the place. From her very first visit as a working royal, she made that abundantly clear. Oh, she was gracious enough publicly, but privately, she despised the hunting, the shooting, the fishing, the entire rural Scottish experience. And look, that's her prerogative. Not everyone enjoys that lifestyle, but you are a guest in someone's home. You adapt, you show respect. Instead, she didn't integrate. The staff reportedly found her challenging to work with. She was bored. She complained about the Wi-Fi signal. The Wi-Fi at Balmoral, one of the most historic residences on the planet, and she's frustrated about her internet connection. Rather than cherishing the moment, being part of something historically significant, she was counting the hours until she could leave. So now we arrive at the fascinating crossroads. Meghan is faced with this Balmoral invitation and its conditions. She can't claim work commitments as an excuse because nobody's booking her. There are no speaking engagements, no acting roles, no major brand deals. The calendar is wide open. So how does she get out of it? And here's where the royal family's strategy becomes clear. Many insiders believe, much like the late Queen reportedly said, thank goodness Meghan's not coming. They wouldn't mind if Harry simply showed up alone. But the condition that the children must come changes everything. It forces a decision. It forces Meghan's hand. And more importantly, the visit comes with strict rules. No photographs, no public discussion, no social media moments. It's a private visit. No content, no publicity, no proof that it ever happened. Now think about what Meghan reportedly said about the Highgrove visit. She apparently called it a whole lot of nothing. And from her perspective, that's devastatingly accurate. Because for Meghan, the game was never about reconnecting with King Charles. It was never about healing family wounds. The game was about publicity on the world stage. It was about proving to everyone, through carefully staged photographs, through planted stories, through visible moments, that the royal family had forgiven her, that she was back in the fold, that she had won. Instead, she got nothing. A few tabloid headlines, some grainy photographs, a title that she's already used 1,000 times. That's what she walked away with. So, do you really think she's going to take a second bite of this pie? Do you genuinely believe she'll subject herself to Balmoral, a place she hates, with conditions that prevent her from extracting any public value from the visit? Here's what makes this truly compelling. The Sussex camp is cornered. They can't refuse the invitation without looking like they're rejecting the king's olive branch, and that destroys their victim narrative. But they can't accept it either because the conditions strip away every single thing Meghan actually wants from the arrangement. King Charles, for all his flaws, is playing a longer game than most people realize. He's not slamming doors shut. He's leaving them open. Just barely, and making the walk through them so uncomfortable that perhaps, eventually, gravity will do what it always does. It catches up with everyone. The question isn't whether Meghan will go to Balmoral. The question is, what happens when the world stops watching? What happens when the cameras are gone, the invitations have conditions, and the beauty that once opened every door is no longer enough? That's the reckoning that's coming, and it's coming faster than anyone in Montecito wants to admit. If you think this story is far from over, you're absolutely right. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Will Meghan accept the Balmoral invitation, or will she find another way out? And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because the next chapter of this saga is about to get even more explosive